Hello, Divyam. Am I audible?
Yes, I can hear you. I can see
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so good evening. Welcome back.
Good evening.
Excited to know what topic we're talking about today.
Oh, not exactly. I didn't decided anything, but yes, it would be a general topic about the strategies for learning English.
Hmm. So, what do you have in mind? What direction do you want to take this conversation in?
Means what steps, how to decide their timetable or time schedule. Like if I talk
Hmm.
about persons who are homemakers, mother, and working women, how should they utilize their time? Whatever time they get to learn, how they should cover all aspects of learning, like in any language like English, listening, speaking, reading, writing, like this.
Okay, good, good. So, there are a
Means
couple of
basically time
I
management for
understand. I
learning.
understand. So, this is not just about time management. It's just also about
Habit
creating a
formation of,
plan and having a deadline
yes,
and
yes, yes.
how long will it take for you to become fluent to a certain level, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So there are certain disclaimers that I want to give before we give advice to people, right? Everybody learns at a different pace. Everybody has a different environment. Everybody has different timelines in terms of how much time they can spend per day to learn something new, right? Outside of work,
Mhm.
outside of finishing your household chores, outside of socializing, all of those things, right? So
Right.
I'm going to give you a very, very generic step-by-step plan that I think works. Okay, this is again not professional advice, it's just my opinion, right? So, firstly, I think it's important to analyze what you're good at. I understand you're talking about beginners and people who start off, but inherently, people are good at things, right? So even if you don't know ABCs, right, you might start learning that, you might start learning the basic grammar rules, but you need to understand that you know a language. It might not be English, but you know a language. And in that particular language, you're good at something. It's either speaking, saying something in a positive way, just listening skills. For some people, language is really easy to understand, contextually speaking. So you need to understand, you need to identify your strengths and weaknesses before you start learning English. Okay. Once you do that, then you'll know what weaknesses you need to work on, right? So it may seem a little corporate of me to say this, but you need to sort of make a table for yourself and then have certain deadlines for yourself that okay, in this amount of time, I'm going to focus on let's say my listening skills, right? So what I mentally do when I want to learn something, whether it's football, whether it's gaming, whatever it is, I sort of give myself points out of 100. Okay. So let's say we're talking about football, right? So for me, my passing will be somewhere around 50 or 60. My shot power would be anywhere around 50 and 60. And if I was to pick something like heading the ball, right? For that, I would give myself 70 or 80. So now that I know these three aspects are there, something that I need to improve is either my passing or my running speed, right? So what I'm going to do is every day I'm going to do drills that help me lose fat, increase my speed. But that doesn't mean I neglect on something that I'm already good at, like heading the ball or passing the ball, right? So similarly in English, even though you're good at listening, but you don't know how to speak, right? That doesn't mean you stop doing listening practice, right? It's just that you put 20% of effort in maintaining your listening skills, and then you put 60% of effort in speaking skills and 20% in just general knowledge, vocabulary, understanding words, new idioms, whatever it is, right? So when you sort of identify all these things, that what are you good at, what are you bad at, what is something that needs emergency fixing, right? Because without that particular skill set, you cannot communicate or you cannot have conversations with people. Depending on that sort of timeline, you have to set up your goals. Okay. Now, what you can do is a lot of people have this problem. Sometimes they have a deadline of 1 month because they have an interview coming up in 1 month. Sometimes homemakers just want to be good communicators with their in-laws, or they made new friends at the gym that they want to talk to in English, right? So in that case, they don't have such a tight deadline. They have maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, right? And people who are just doing it for the curiosity of learning, I don't think they need deadlines because their curiosity itself will drive them to get results, right? To research, to find ways in which they can satisfy that itch of learning new things or developing new interests, right? So I'll give you an example of someone who has a 1 month deadline. Okay. Now, in that 1 month, you have to break down whatever skills you need to master or at least get better at. So let's say you have four problems, then it becomes very simple. You focus on one problem every week. And at the end of 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, you test yourself. Okay. So when you're testing yourself, don't test yourself on something that you just worked on. So let's say in the first week, you focus on listening. Second week, you focus on email writing, right? Third week, you focused on accents or people from different countries. How do I understand a French person speaking in English? How do I understand someone from UAE who's speaking in English? The Middle East, I mean. So once you're done with these 2 weeks where you're focusing on listening and accents, one thing I would say is test your overall ability to have a conversation, right? You can, I don't know if it's possible, but if that is something that works for you, let's say you're working for an international company where you're going to talk to French clients, you will have to find a way to talk to somebody who's French, but talk to them in English. Okay. And for that, you have a lot of online forums, online groups where let's assume some French person has come to India or some French person is going to a country where their English is not so good. So maybe to go talk to them because their accent will be a little bit thicker and both of you will have this understanding that we are both trying to improve in English, right? So you have to put yourself in situations where you can test yourself. That is very important because just working on it without understanding whether you're improving, whether the steps you're taking are correct or not, are very important. Because I've seen people make some very silly mistakes. And when I asked them, why are you saying it like that? Who told you this? And they said, oh, 6 months ago, some friend of mine said, you don't have to say it like this, you have to say it like this. And I've been practicing the second version, the corrected version for so long. I keep telling people practice is a really good thing, but if you practice the wrong thing, you're going to get really good at doing the wrong thing. Okay. And then it takes another
Correct,
2, 3
correct.
months to sort of rectify that problem. So make sure
Yes.
you're not blindly learning things. That's exactly why clappingo is, so good with um how do I say welcoming in that sense, because when we see you do certain things, say certain things, or have a certain mindset about a concept, like let's say there's some blocker or something that you're like, oh, but that topic is too difficult. I don't even want to start trying because I think I'll never get that, right? So clapping go, that one-on-one conversation will always help you understand that you are not limited to these things. Your exercises are going to help you in X factor, but not in the Y factor. Okay. And obviously, because of the experience that the tutors have over here, we'll make sure that we give you exercises that kind of work on a whole set of skills combined, I would say, right?
Okay.
Does that sort of break it down on a very foundational level?
Yes, it's good explanation. And first thing is you should know your shortcomings, or first you should analyze yourself, your learnings, and then need to fix your shortcomings or whatever areas need to be improved. You should
Hmm.
work on that with some timeline, and every means just don't keep on cramming things or whatever some you are coming across about learning and everything. It's better to have a good practice of good concept, means correct things should be learned, because it is very difficult to unlearn wrong things than to
Right,
learn again correct one.
right.
And
So I'll tell
as
you
you
why.
said,
Sorry, please go on, please go on.
sorry, as you said, like test your overall learning, so that is means good exercise to know how much and how well you are grasping the things, or how you are coming, or what changes you should take bring in your learning process. For
Hmm.
that you need to test all your skills at a one go. That is
Yeah,
having a conversation. Yes.
yeah. So the reason we start the journey by identifying problems is because there is this misconception. I don't know if it's in only in India or everywhere else, but there's a misconception that I have to be better at English. But English can be broken down into so many different things, right? I'll give you a simple layman term example. Let's say you want to get better at cricket because you want to play for a team, right? You go to a coach and you say, "Hey, I want to get better at cricket." He might test you. He might tell you go play in this game. You are the first batsman or you're the first bowler, right? But what we don't understand, because we see it from an outside perspective, is an expert or a professional player had to work on so many different things. A batsman not only has to just stand there and wait to hit the ball, he has to do 10,000 things before he even gets ready to do that. He has to set himself up in the right position in front of the wicket. He has to look around to see where the fielders are, where are the safe areas where he can hit a shot. Then assess whether he has enough power, whether he has the technique to hit the ball, right? And that is just the start. Now, when the bowler is coming in to throw the ball, you have to adjust your feet so that you can manage to be in the range of the ball, whether it's too far from you, whether it's too close to you, right? Then you have to remember how to hold the bat, how to swing depending on the angle of the ball, right? Now, while all that is going on, you have to remember where the fielder is, what your power range is, how far can you hit the ball, and will it go over the fielder? Will it be short of the fielder? Because you don't want to get out, right? So English is exactly the same. People say, I want to be better at English, right? In the same way, cricket, let's say you don't have a lot of shot power and you're practicing shot power with your coach. When he wants to test you, he will not set up an exercise just to test your shot power. He will say, go play in the match and let me see what improvement is there. That's exactly
Yes,
what we're doing
yes.
at 2 weeks. Let's say you're doing a listening exercise, right? To test yourself, don't do another listening exercise because you've been practicing that. Go and talk to an actual person, see what problems I come up, right? And let's say you in that test you are like, okay, I've gotten much better at listening, but now that I see the recording of this meeting or this conversation, I notice that I'm not able to understand the terms that they're using, the cultural terms or whatever it is, right? So you might find new
Yes.
problems over there that might come up. So people keep saying English, but English is not a blanket term. A lot of things go in English, right? And obviously you can Google it, you can find out what skills you need to master to become good at English overall, right? You can talk to I think Clapingo has a document that they can share as well, but let me find out about that. But that understanding of what you're trying to improve is very important. Right? You can't just say that I want to be better at English and then do one thing, just do listening or just do speaking exercise. Right? You need to understand how it's broken down into many parts and how it combines to become an English conversation or a presentation or an interview.
Yes, yes, very true. So if we say that, like if somebody is having uh, in case I divide the things, like somebody is zero, and how to start from scratch and to rise to a phoenix means what I know that is a long process and it needs a lot of patience also and hard work too. But if we talk about four terms, like you should be you should know how to introduce yourself, you should know how to respond or how to give the response to the question. And
Mhm.
if I talk about what things like as a homework a learner should do or on daily basis, like on writing purpose, what should that person write for learning English?
Right. So you're saying you're asking me to give basic 4 points to start the journey.
Yes.
Right. Okay. I'll give you an example. Okay. Imagine you're going to China or Vietnam or Indonesia today. Okay. And you just accepted a job and you're going to live there for the next 1 year. What do you think is going to be the most important thing that you need to know? Obviously, I'm talking in terms of communication, nothing to do with your skill at your job or anything like that. I'm talking about daily life, living in a new apartment with new neighbors, and talking to office colleagues who are of that same nationality.
uh, what one thing is we should be aware of how to understand what are they saying and what is the ambience there, what is the environment, what are the like how to introduce means what I said. If I don't know ABC of Chinese language or Vietnam means whatever country, so it would be means I will not be able to cope with the situation, or how would I interact with the person? That is impossible for me, because
Right.
I cannot stand like Gajni holding some plate and showing
Yeah.
something.
You can't be using Google Translate over there all the time. Eventually, you will
Yes,
have to
yes,
learn. Yes. So, in my
yes.
mind, on the flight to whatever city or country I'm going to, I'd be researching a couple of words that I can use. Sorry, thank you, hello, excuse me, please. Very standard terms that you're going to use with a shopkeeper, you're going to use with your taxi driver, with your boss, with your co-workers. Yes, your boss and co-workers will know that you're learning the language. They're not strangers, right? But after that, what you'll want to do is you'll have to research what you need to say at work, because your industry or the way you communicate about your ideas or your job is very important, right? While you're doing that, right? This is another example of English overall in general. Imagine you are an Indian who's learning English in India, in any city in India, right? It might take you a year or 2 years to get basically confident in having conversations with strangers. But if you were just picked up and thrown into Canada or thrown into America, any city in America, right? It'll take you only 6 months to get that good. That is because of the environment. You're forced to do things in that way. And a lot of people,
Yes,
what they do
yes.
is they will say, okay, 2 hours in the day, I'm only going to speak in English, think in English, listen to music in English, write emails or write messages on WhatsApp in English. But when you're in America, you can only talk in Hindi for an hour when you're talking to your parents, when you're talking to your loved ones, or whatever it is, right? So it accelerates, it fast tracks your process, right? So one thing is, I would say, socially, what do you want to achieve? One part, as soon as you start learning a certain language from zero. Socially, when do you need English? Are you doing this because you want to speak at work in English? Secondly, is now it's becoming very common. People romantically, when they want to appeal to people, they start learning English, right? So if you want to do that, then you have to learn a different set of vocabulary, how you're feeling about certain things. Let's say you want to share a story about a breakup that you had recently, right? So you have to learn words like heartbreak, betrayal, toxicity, depending on your relationship. Obviously, I'm not commenting on anybody's relationship, but whatever you want to communicate to your potential partner in English, you have to be able to say it so that they don't misunderstand that, okay, was this person at fault? Was this person the problem in the relationship? I don't want to invest in a relationship where I'm going to be unhappy. So you want to communicate that clearly. So it's very important to understand your shortcomings and obviously what your target is. So it becomes very easy when you know what your target is. If you're not going to talk in English at home, then the whole social aspect of it has doesn't have that much importance. You don't have to come back home and tell your parents in English what you did in the whole day. You can talk to them in Hindi and be comfortable. When you go to work and you have to work in a multinational company and they ask you how was your weekend, you cannot say मैं पतंग चका रहा था. You cannot say मैं मेरे फ्रेंड्स के साथ हिल स्टेशन पे गया था, whatever. So you'll have to be very corporate and very diplomatic about it, that hey, I spent a relaxed weekend with my friends at the nearest hill station. We were stargazing, we enjoyed a potluck. So these are things that you'll have to sort of target. In terms of your question, you wanted four aspects that they can focus on, right? um, it becomes difficult because everybody's needs and resources and time management is very different. But obviously, first is grammar and know the basics of the language. Second is understand, in context of your city, state, or village, whatever it is, what works, what people will understand. You can be in Nagpur but learn English from an Australian guy. You cannot go to Nagpur and talk to a stranger and say words that are used in Australia. That is not going to work, right? So find someone who's a little bit more local, who can give you a little bit more. They can give you knowledge about the language in a more generic sense where Indians will understand, or whatever your local uh, culture is like, basically in terms of English, they will understand, right? Third point I would say is general knowledge. You need to have enough knowledge about not just current events, but also historic events, in the world, but also specific to your industry. Okay. Because tomorrow, if someone comes up and asks you in your office, hey, do you remember how Kingfisher went bankrupt and they were not able to pay their employees and they were not able to pay back the loans? If you don't know the topic, you can't talk in English. If you know the topic but you can't communicate your opinions clearly, then that conversation is null and void because they asked you a question and you were not able to respond to that. Right? So general knowledge becomes a very important part. This is in sync with vocabulary as well, industry specific vocabulary, I would say. Right? And the fourth part
Yes.
has to be confidence. Repetition is very important in this because this is why we mention this a lot in clapping sessions that we recommend 3 conversations a week. We would recommend more, but we understand that this is something that would be financially and time, according to the time that people can give, working professionals can give, is the most balanced approach. But repetition of conversations where you're putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, where you are putting yourself in situations where you can question your ability to do certain things and also what your shortcomings are, because you don't just wake up one day and you're like, oh, these are 100 things I'm bad at. No, you know 5 things. When you explore, when you improve them, you realize, oh, there are 5 more things I need to improve. Oh, now that I'm at this level, to get to the advanced level, I need 5 more things I need to improve. Right? So that journey is never ending. You can have a PhD in English, English literature, English grammar, whatever you want, and you will still have 100 things you need to learn. So always be open-minded. Never think that you have reached the peak of anything. Right? Even CEOs of 20, 30 years, they keep saying that the industry changes so much that we have to keep, learning, upskilling, understanding new trends. So yeah, have an open mind, make sure you know what you're learning, what you need to learn next. And a conversation with someone who knows what they're doing is never going to hurt you. They will always give you good feedback. They'll always give you guidance on what resources you should sort of research or study upon, and obviously what exercises are going to help you.
Okay. Means you need to practice, you need to read a lot, means you should be aware of your surroundings and update your general knowledge. And accordingly, you need to upgrade your vocabulary according to the context or subject, right?
Yeah,
And of course, basic grammar is needed, like how, where to use he, his, and was, and is, going. So
yeah.
something of grammar is very much basic necessity to learn any language.
It's the
Uh,
foundation, it's the building block of being able to have a conversation.
hmm, yes. And repetition. Repetition means you need to repeat in the sense you need to practice. So, and be open to all type of learning.
Yes.
Means you should welcome everything and take it and like with open arms, and whatever learning you are getting or a chance to interact with someone or you are getting to know something, you should wholeheartedly or warmly and get the things and add in on your so-called encyclopedia of learning. And still most of that is you need to practice and be consistent and don't lose hope, be patient.
Definitely, yeah.
Right.
So if you want something that's a little bit more structured, like an infrastructure, you can always use tools like ChatGPT, where you can tell them what level you're at, what you're comfortable with, what you're uncomfortable with. You can also tell them, hey, I'm a visual learner, so they'll give you more resources that can help you, right? And you can ask ChatGPT to create a plan for you. You can say, can you give me a 1 month plan on how to improve my spoken skills, my vocabulary, my general knowledge, what resources I should uh, sort of chase or like follow, um, all of that. And I think they'll give you, it'll take some time. It'll take 10-20 minutes
Mm-hmm.
to get the whole thing done. But I think
Mm-hmm.
you'll get a very good basic foundation on how to start your journey, right? And you can also ask ChatGPT, hey, what are 10 things I should know before I start this journey, So they'll give you the
Yes.
warnings. So ChatGPT is good because it scours the internet for information, articles, books, podcasts, and it sort of gives you a very good summary of what it could find from the experience of thousands and thousands of people who've been through this journey, you know?
Yes, yes, yes. And many learners are using this chat GPT or internet to improve their English, and they means they get a ready-made content to learn or speak about. So that is good thing, like how you are blending your technology with your learning.
Yeah.
So it's mean you should have a clear reason for learning. You should have clear vision why to learn, and after all means you should know where the things are lacking, and you should have a plan your practice or plan your activity accordingly, and you can take help of course chat gpt as you mentioned, and with
Yeah.
the specific timeline and deadline is necessary, because with if you have a set time or the timeline or deadline, then only you are going to put your efforts according to the like
You can
stipulated time.
you can create a sense of urgency firstly, and secondly, if
Yes,
you don't put a timeline on your journey, then you don't know if you're progressing at the rate that you want to progress at. That is very
yes, yes.
important.
Means it's the same way, like I'm having 2 3 books and I thought I would read them during my summer vacation, but I couldn't finish a single one because I didn't have that I didn't fix that timeline or
Yeah.
deadline I should complete within 10 days or
So
7 days.
when you have a task and you generalize it, this is exactly why corporates have deadlines, because they'll say, okay, create this report. And if they don't give a deadline, then the report will keep getting extended until something more important comes up, right? So
Yes,
keep a
yes.
deadline for yourself. It'll always help you get that sense of urgency, sense of, you know, it sometimes feeling guilty about not doing something can be good. It can motivate you to do it and get the
But
results.
only a
So
single day, that need not to be form a habit, means repeating it 2 days for 3 days, like, oh, I will do it later on, later on.
yeah. And procrastination is always going to hurt you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Okay, I
these are the
hope I
basic
answered
steps.
all your
Yeah, you
questions.
of course today you are well means in a mood to give all the things.
I'm always
You
in the
could.
mood to have conversations and give answers. Excuse me, what are these false
No, you are
accusations?
all. No, you are always. But this time means, uh, you were means. I would say you have better have that step by step breakdown of the things and to make those things clear to
Mhm.
everyone. So that is means in the sense of appreciation.
Thank you so much. As always, it's lovely to talk to you. Sorry, but we've run out of time. We've, I think, gone way overboard. But
Oh,
I'm gonna have to end the meeting because I have to get in another meeting really
sure,
now.
sure, sure. Thank you,
Thank you
thank you,
so
thank you.
much. Lovely talking to you. Love the questions.
Okay.
Keep the excitement up and can't wait for our next session.
Oh yeah, really. Thank you. And that, this time means I need to find some more interesting topic to discuss.
We can talk about,
Thank
I'll
you
tell you
so
what, I don't
much.
know if this works or not, but in the next session, we can talk about the advantages and disadvantages of AI and ChatGPT.
Okay.
Yeah?
Nice, nice. Okay, yes. Thank you so much for sparing so much valuable time and giving your insight on this topic.
No, no, you're too sweet. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Sure, sure.
Bye
Have a
bye.
nice day. Good evening. Bye.
Yep, you too. Bye bye.